Is it too late for you to reach COSFI? In this video, I'm going to address the commonly held assumption that COSFI is only for young people. I'll show you how you can calculate your own COSFI number and how your current age factors into the equation. I've been talking about COSFI for over 7 years now. My wife and I together have helped thousands of people understand where they are on their COSFI journey, and we're often credited for popularizing this term in the FIRE movement. This experience has given me valuable insights about the relationship between your age and your chances of reaching COSFI. Let's start with some definition. COSFI is the financial milestone where saving and investing for retirement becomes completely optional. The money you've already saved will grow to fund your target retirement. Now, many people assume that they must continue saving and investing throughout their entire career, all the way up until retirement. However, thanks to compound interest and growth, it's entirely possible to reach a point where you have a large enough critical mass that you can stop saving for retirement. Your portfolio will do the rest of the work to fund your retirement. The name COSFI comes from the idea that you can take your foot off the gas and coast to financial independence. Now, the amount you need to have invested will vary depending on how long you have until retirement. This time frame is crucial because it determines how long your investments have to grow. So using some basic assumptions around future returns, you can calculate how much money you need today to reach this milestone. And if you aren't there yet, you can also determine how long it'll take to reach that goal. Now, what most people fail to realize is that the COSFI number is a moving target. If you don't reach your number this year, you have one less year for compound growth to work its magic. So the amount needed to cross this milestone actually increases with time. Now, this will be different for each person based on your unique scenario. If you'd like to calculate your own COSFI number, we've built a free COSFI calculator that you can download and use to run your own calculation. I've provided a link in the description below. There's a commonly held belief that COSFI is only for young people. And when you understand the relationship between the years until retirement and your COSFI number, it becomes pretty clear why people make this assumption. At its core, the COSFI calculation is a future value formula. It calculates how much money you need today that with growth until retirement will reach your FI number without you contributing another dollar. Now, there's an inverse relationship between the years until retirement and your COSFI number. I made that sound way more complicated than it needs to be. Let's simplify this. Basically, the more years you have until retirement, the smaller your COSFI number is. The fewer years that you have, the larger your COSFI number becomes. This happens because you have less time for your existing portfolio to grow and compound. With fewer years until retirement, the amount you need actually increases. For example, someone who is 30 years old and plans to retire at 65, spending about $60,000 per year, would need $140,000 today to reach COSFI. That $140,000 would grow to about $1.8 million in today's dollars by the age of 65 without any additional contribution. But for someone who is 40 with 10 fewer years of growth, the COSFI number jumps to $276,000. Almost double the amount needed by the 30-year-old. Now, that's a meaningful difference, but it's still achievable. What happens if we take another 10 years? For a 50-year-old with the same assumptions, the COSFI number rises to $543,000. That's significantly more. It's close to double what someone would need at age 40. Now you can see why many assume that COSFI is primarily for young people. But that's only part of the story. There's much more to this discussion than simply the math behind post-financial independence. In fact, I believe there are 3 key factors that people overlook when making this assumption. Now let's explore these 3 factors. The first is oversimplifying the question. I've now had a few people tell me directly that COSFI is primarily for young people, and they often point to the way that compound interest works as the primary reason for this belief. The implied question, if it's not explicit by those people, is often, is it easier to reach COSFI at 30 or 40? And to some degree, I understand this logic. I think almost everyone would prefer to have an extra 10 years of compound growth, but I also think it's an oversimplification, and there's a lot more at play here. Let me explain what I mean. This question of whether it's easier to reach Coast-Fi at 30 or 40 or any other later age overlooks a couple of key components. Using the example I mentioned earlier, is it easier to reach an investing balance of $140,000 by age 30 or an investing balance of $276,000 by age 40? Now, $140,000 is a much smaller amount, so you would assume that's the case, but that overlooks the fact that you have an extra 10 years of contributions to reach the higher amount. For someone starting to invest at age 22, you need to invest $13,650 per year to reach $140,000 by the age of 30. But if your goal was to reach Coast-Fi by age 40, you'd only have to invest $8,100 per year for those 18 years to reach $276,000. Now you can begin to see why this is much more complicated than you initially assume. The other consideration here is that the person working to reach Coast-Fi by age 40 has an additional 10 years of career growth to be able to invest more money. I don't know about you, but when I was 22, I was barely making ends meet. I didn't have $13,000 to invest at the age of 22. So I think the assumption around it being easier is an oversimplification. The second factor that often gets overlooked is comparing the Coast-Fi number to a full financial independence number. When you stop and think about it, the Coast-Fi number is much more accessible than the full financial independence number, regardless of whether you want to achieve it at 30, 40, or age 50. Let's assume someone is just learning about the importance of personal finance at age 45. Up to this point, they were on autopilot. They haven't contributed more than the 3% to their 401k, and they only did that to secure the 3% match from their employer because someone once told them it was free money. Thanks to contributing an effective 6% of their modest salary, their retirement balance is around $250,000 after 23 years of work past growth. If we assume they plan to spend around $60,000 in retirement, Coast-Fi number 5 years from now at age 50 is $543,000, as we know. Now put yourself in their shoes. Would you be more motivated by a retirement goal of $1.5 million by age 65 or a Coast-Fi number of $543,000 in 5 years? If it were me, the smaller Coast-Fi target feels much more achievable and that much more motivating. The third factor that often gets overlooked is even a handful of years can be a meaningful period of time to coast. Many people argue that Coast-Fi benefits younger individuals because they have more time to coast to retirement. This is true. Someone who reaches Coast-Fi at a younger age will have a longer period to take a more intentional path to retirement. But here's the key insight. Both statements can be true simultaneously. Yes, younger individuals have more time to coast, and a 5 to 10 year coasting period can still be incredibly meaningful. And I've witnessed this firsthand. At our Slow-Fi retreat in New Hampshire, I met Arfana, who called me over to review her Coast-Fi calculation. What happened next was unexpected for both of us. It's difficult to capture in words because it was truly life-changing for her. We realized simultaneously that she had reached Coast-Fi, and remarkably, she was crossing this milestone in her 50s. This moment wasn't just another financial revelation. It was one of those most profound aha moments where you know your life will never be the same. In the conversation that followed, I learned that she had big aspirations to leave her day job and start a new business. Crossing this Coast-Fi milestone gave her permission to live differently. This experience gives me confidence that Coast-Fi can create meaningful change for anyone, not just those in their 20s or 30s, but also people in their 40s and 50s. And for those in their 40s or 50s, a Coast-Fi lifestyle can also serve as an excellent transition to retirement. Instead of flipping a switch and having your world turned upside down at retirement, Coast-Fi offers a transition phase or even a semi-retirement approach. And if you want to learn more about semi-retirement and how it differs from Coast-Fi, you should watch this video here. Thanks so much for watching and enjoy the journey.